Okay.
The Book of Mormon, that's quite a bit of writing there. And is there any clue as to did this just come out of Joseph Smith's imagination, or was there any precursor to it?
Very quickly, there were other books around at the time where it talked about, the whole premise of the Book of Mormon is that there was a group of Jews who came at the prompting of God to America. When they got here, they became two divided groups, the righteous group and the non-righteous group, and the non-righteous sons and descendants were cursed with the darker skin because they were unrighteous, and those are the ancestors of the American Indians. Now, the Book of Mormon has said always that it's a history of all, the American Indians. And one of the first things Joseph Smith did was send missionaries to the Indians. Within the last year and a half, they have corrected some of the verbiage in the foreword to say some, because the DNA evidence now shows American Indians, 99.9% came from Asia, and that's just a whole other thing I can't even get into. But it's that's what it's a history of those people, and it's a compilation, I think, of other books he had. The idea that the American Indians were Israelites had been floating around for a long time. It was not new with Joseph Smith.
So, we have one over there.
I think we'll do one more and then we'll go on.
Pat.
So regarding when his being killed by the mob, was there supposed to be something about where he had a chance to escape, but then he went back? And is that true? Is that a balance?
It is true. At the time the press was destroyed, he did leave with a couple of men, got on a horse and left. And he, at some point, it's a little hazy to me now, but he felt he needed to come back. I do think Joseph had kind of a martyr's complex. He knew he was going to die. I mean, there's a lot of indication he did know. But he was also horribly narcissistic. And I think that he just thought that somehow he would be saved. And he would look better to the saints. He didn't want to be a coward. And so he came back and actually turned himself in. And never dreaming, that he'd been in jail so many times. How did he ever dream this time he wouldn't come out?
We have one question here, but I want to ask first, did they ever find the golden plates?
Now, the church doctrine is that they were given back to the angel who. Oh, there's just so much. I could.
That was my question.
Okay. All right. Let's do Helen, because she had her hand up first.
Okay, two small ones. The Latter-day Saints, that refers to what?
Well, it's just that because they are the one and only true church, they are the true saints of God, and Latter-day just means in modern times.
Okay. And the church not being incorporated, does that mean they don't get any tax relief?
Yeah, I don't really understand this. Like I said, I just discovered this yesterday, actually. And so I want to look into this a little bit more, because I know that there is the corporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but I think it has to do more with their business dealings.
Yeah.
It's not the actual, I can't answer anymore, I gotta go. We'll have more time. The one thing that I need to get across, this would be 3 hours if I gave it all to you. But the thing about the polygamy is that Joseph was engaged in other relationships outside his marriage for many years before he revealed to the church that the Lord had told him to do it. By the time, the only way I think I can cover this adequately is just to start reading some quotes to you. The actual revelation was revealed in 1843. By the time this was revealed, or that Joseph said he'd had this revelation, he had been married to at least 12 women besides his legal wife. Dozens of his most trusted followers had also taken plural wives. Now, what's interesting is that in the Book of Mormon, it adamantly preaches against David and Solomon and their multiple concubines and their multiple wives. It says that it's abominable before the Lord. So, and in the Doctrine and Covenants, which was modern revelation, it also denounced the practice. It said, inasmuch as this Church of Christ has been reproached with the crime of fornication and polygamy, we declare that we believe but one husband, except in the case, let's see, we believe that one man should have one wife and one woman, but one husband, except in the case of death, when either one is then at liberty to marry again. Now that, 1835 is when that quote was printed in their scripture, the Doctrine and Covenants. It was not removed until 1876. 34 years after they had been living in polygamy, and many years after they'd been living openly in Utah. At that time, in 1876, they inserted the revelation that Joseph Smith had, which had never been incorporated in the scripture before. So they took out the original revelation, and in 1876 that they put in the one that Joseph said he had about demanding that they do this. And then, so at the present time, the Book of Mormon still condemns it. The Doctrine and Covenants allows it. And don't ask me, who was a student of the scriptures and took them at BYU and everything, how I juggled that. I don't know. That's just that dissonance thing that you sometimes do when you're trying to understand what you've been taught. At one point, because Emmett Smith was so adamant, the wife was so adamant against this, Joseph Smith had a revelation, that told her that she would be destroyed if she would not accept polygamy. Joseph Smith's first known relationship, they think, by all the research that's been done, was with a young girl by the name of Fanny Alger, who was only 14 years old at the time. He, by then, was in his early 30s. And Oliver Cowdery, who was one of his closest associates, said, and one of the three witnesses to the Book of Mormon, who supposedly saw the plates or didn't see the plates, but helped him translate them. He said, but he felt, he knew that there was a relationship between Joseph Smith and Fanny Alger, but felt it was an adulterous relationship. In a letter dated in January 1838, Cowdery wrote, when Joseph Smith was there, we had some conversation in which every instance I did not fail to affirm that what I had said was strictly true, a dirty, nasty, filthy affair of his and Fanny Alger's. Now this was just the first of many accusations against Joseph Smith, which he continued to deny for years and years and years. The revelation that came out in 43, which was never written down until 1876, says that the first wife must give consent for any future polygamous wives. Emma Smith was never consulted about any of them until after the fact sometimes. So he went against, what his own scripture said. It actually was not publicly acknowledged, the whole polygamy thing, until after they had gotten to Utah. And that was something I didn't know until, several years ago. I thought it had been lived openly in Nauvoo and Illinois, but it had not. A lot of the men were living it, but it was all being kept secret.